Charles Haley. You're listening to Nothing But Niners.
This is Kyle Juszczyk, and you're listening to Nothing But Niners.
So now they've got to start from deep in their end of the field, and Garrison Hurst takes advantage of it. He takes the handoff, hits to his right, gets to the 20. He's in the 30, needs to cut in. He comes back up the right sideline, breaks a hard tackle, comes down to the 30. He's down to the 20. He's down to the 10. He's down to the 5. He's into the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown! 49ers! 96-yard run from scrimmage. Garrison Hurst breaking tackle after tackle, swings down the sideline. Throws off bodies like clothes after a marathon.
Young, back to throw. In trouble, he's going to be sacked. No, gets away. He runs, gets away again, goes to the 40, gets away again, to the 35, cuts back at the 30, to the 20, the 50, the 10. He died. Touchdown, 49ers.
Third down, Alex takes the snap. Alex looking down in post, and it's good. Touchdown! Touchdown, 49ers!
It is second down. Ryan takes the snap, throws the slant to the left side. It's Russell, intercepted! The 49ers pick it, and Navarro Bowman is redemption! Navarro Bowman running it all the way for the touchdown! No greater redemption!
The San Francisco 49ers, we can do whatever we want.
Click, click. Boom! What's going on, faithfuls? It's your boys Mike and Tony from the Nothing But Niners crew. Guys, we are here to talk draft. We are here to talk defensive end specifically. The last show we brought to you guys was who's going to help Bosa. Well, today we get to figure out not only who, but where we should be getting them. It's one thing to talk prospects. It's another thing to talk about where you think they will be in the draft. There's no need of us talking about certain players, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no need of us talking about Abdul Carter. He's never going to be in reach of the 49ers, unless you disagree with that, Tony. Let's start there. Is there a possibility Abdul Carter can fall to the 49ers? I saw a tweet today that said the Niners are moving up to 6. Is Abdul Carter going to make it to 6, Tony?
I don't see that whatsoever. No way. Even if his medical is messed up with his ankle, there's no way.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I'm right there with you, buddy. I didn't think so either. So I won't waste the chat's time. We won't waste time talking about players like that we are sure are going to be out of the 49ers range. But what we will do is talk about some other guys that we have seen, some guys that are going to be maybe day 2 guys, definitely some day 3 guys, and maybe even some day 1 guys. Huh? Now, we'll have a little bit of a debate on that later on, but let's go ahead and get into it. Before we get to the details of the show, I want to run through some formalities really quick. If this is your first time here on the YouTube page, please follow the instructions going across the bottom of the screen in black and white. Hit that like button, subscribe, and then turn on your notifications so you know exactly when we are going live. Then give us a follow on some of our social media platforms. We have Snapchat and X. Those handles are Nothing But 9 ERS. Again, that is Nothing But 9, the number 9 ERS. And then follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch. Those handles are Nothing But Niners. That is spelled all the way out. Last but certainly not least, if you guys aren't there, man, bonus show came out last night. Ironically, touching on something that we're discussing today. All right, patreon.com/NB9ERS. We were talking about some special defensive end players, maybe some more projects more than special, but there's something there with all those guys, all right? So head on over patreon.com/NB9ERS. We are breaking down each position group, just some of my thoughts, some highlights, some film of some guys over there, and some of their pros and cons, all right? We break it all down over there. Guys, again, let's have some fun here. We're going to talk about defensive ends that the 49ers should target in this year's upcoming draft, all right? Tony, man, where would you like to start? Let's start with first round prospects that will be in reach of the 49ers. All right, let's start round 1.
Yeah, I mean, you have a bunch of guys up top. I mean, you know, you have your Mike Green, your Mikael Williams. When we started the draft process, you had your James Pierce. Shamar Stewart is being talked about going in round 1. Jalen Walker, some people view him as just a 3-4 outside linebacker. Some people are viewing him as a 4-3 defensive end. Some people are looking at him as a stack off-ball linebacker. So it all depends on what you're looking for as far as with Jalen Walker. I'm right now, like, they definitely need a defense. They definitely need defensive tackles because right now that is their extremely weakest part of this defensive line. Like, if it started today, the season. You could put Gross Matos out there. You have Beal. You have pieces at defensive end, but the drop off at the defensive tackle spot due to the moves that they made this offseason is really will really affect this team in 2025 if they don't address it in this draft. But being that we're talking about defensive ends, you got to look at a guy. And I know everyone's like on the Mike Green thing. Yes, 17 and a half sacks at Marshall, I think he had, transferring from Virginia. But there's reasons behind why he transferred to Virginia to Marshall. Some off the field issues that are kind of alarming. But he is a great pass rusher. Holding up. What?
You said Mike Green?
Yeah, that's his name, right?
Yeah. You know what's weird? I'm looking at. Oh, never mind. I'm on the wrong year. My bad. I was about to say I'm looking at the stats, and he didn't show up. But yes, he finished with 17 sacks. I apologize.
Yeah, so you have a player like that who produced at Marshall. You have a player like the kid from Bergen, Boston College, as a I don't know how to say it, as a Rockway, Donovan Ezraku from Boston College had 13 and a half sacks, I believe, last year. Undersized guy. Will he hold up versus the run? Can he play all four downs? We don't know. But if you're going to look at adding a piece at number 11, I don't think situational is the way to go. I think you need a full-time. I think you need a full-time starter if you're going at 11, right? Because if you want to talk about situational, yeah, he can come in and be a monster on third down, but okay, you just selected this guy 11 overall, but he can't play first and second down and stop the run on the edge. So it's all hearsay right now, trying to project these guys into the NFL at the next level from what we've seen of them at the collegiate level. So it's kind of tough. But right now, like at 11, you have to consider a guy who clearly can set an edge, who who got flipped from committing to USC to Georgia. The guy I'm talking about is Mikael Williams. There's something about Mikael Williams that I really like. He has the frame, 6'5", 260, 265, depending on what publication you're looking at. He has the wingspan. He has the arms. He is a true 4-3 defensive end that will set an edge, and it's going to be very hard to run around him setting this edge. Continuously faced, double teams, triple teams, chipped out of the backfield, played all over the defensive line, inside, outside, played at a 4 technique, played at a 3 technique, played at a 5 technique, played at a 7 technique. So he's lining up in all different alignments on this defensive line. Yes, he finished the season with son of a bitch.
His sack numbers were pretty low.
5 sacks he finished with. Question about a problem with his ankle. He played through injuries, not missing games with an ankle injury. That's a positive. I mean, you want to know about what the issue is with the ankle. Is it an underlying issue? Is it going to be a continuous issue going forward? But the kid didn't check out. The kid didn't pack it in and say, well, I'm done. No, he kept playing through. So that's a positive, what you want to see in an investment in the NFL draft. What I like about him is how physical he plays. He is predominantly, what we've seen and how they aligned and used him, a power rusher at Georgia. But when they allowed him to go 5-7 wide, you see the ability to get that outside shoulder and make a counter move and come under and try to make a play and get a sack. Very headsy player, high IQ, batted down, I think, 2 passes versus Texas. Knew he couldn't get there, pulled up, threw his hands up, batted down a pass, almost picked off versus Texas. That's a heady thing and high IQ that you want to see from a player. So that's the guy I'm kind of honing in on right now at 11. Will he be there? There's no guarantee. I heard today he can go with 9. I heard today he can go with 8. So I don't know what we're doing as far as that, because the top 10 picks are very unstable right now. It's not like previous years where you knew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 was going to be A, B, C, D, and E. You knew it. We knew it going into it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's not like that this year. It's a crapshoot. There could be a scenario Cam Ward doesn't even go number 1 overall. So we don't know. Another player that they're talking about, Shamar Stewart, workout warrior. Sure, 6'6", played at 285, dropped to 265 at the combine. That's a flag.
Run.
That is a flag to me because that tells me he's more worried about boosting his thing with a faster time, boosting his rankings with a faster time by dropping that 20 pounds. Now the question is, does he play at that 265, or does he put his weight back on just because he got through the combine and accomplished the number that he wanted? So you're talking about
what is that? Let's say he does put on that weight, right, to be a little bit more solid, a little bit more sturdy. What does that do to the body, fluctuating weight like that in a short calendar year? You know what I mean? It's not even a calendar year.
It's tough, but you got to ask yourself this question: is it good weight or bad weight?
Well, so that I guess that's going to depend on the team that he goes to, right? So he's not going to come in here. What is he? 6'5", 267, right?
That's what I think he's listing at. That's what he's at the combine.
And I think the team put Drake Jackson at what? They made him go all the way up to like 275, right?
Yeah, but that started at USC. The trickling back and forth with his weight. Did they want to stand him up, put him down, stand him up, put him down? So that started at USC. This move that I'm talking about was he played at 285, but to get the time that he wanted, he had to drop 20 pounds. So he cut himself 20 pounds to run faster to get him higher in the draft because everyone's going to say, wow, look at that 40. It's irrelevant. 40 is irrelevant for a defensive end.
Well, we're saying irrelevant, but he got a perfect RAS score, and there are some people that are going to look at that score and be like, oh, my God, we can't pass up on this guy. He's so explosive, right? Like, there are people that are going to go gaga for this, and it sounds to me like what you're saying is maybe they shouldn't. How is this kid against the run? How is this kid as a real pass rusher in a must-win situation? Did he get it?
3 consecutive seasons, he got 1.5 sacks. That's not a pass rusher. I'm sorry. That's not a pass rusher. In my opinion, I feel that's even more of a red flag because he knows his production isn't going to get him what he wants. So what do you have to do? He dropped the 20 to get him that speed up to get him and to catapult himself in the top of the first round, mid to first round, wherever he goes, because he knows a guy who's going to take a guy with 1.5 sacks for 3 consecutive years.
Well, and more importantly, how do you go from
your collegiate career?
Right. How do you go from that to being what people are saying a top 15 pick in the NFL draft? Like, because of the underwear Olympics? I think it's insane. He's somebody I would stay away from so much. He is my big X on the board. I wouldn't touch him. I don't care if he fell to us in the first round or the second round. I would not touch him.
I give him credit, though, and I will defend him in this. He does play with his hair on fire. His motor runs hot. But the thing is, yeah, his motor runs hot, but he's trying to get upfield. He gets stalemated. And then what does he do? He breaks away and runs downfield and tries to catch someone from behind a tackle. Or he'll run to the other side of the field and try to catch someone from behind on an angle, like an angle pursuit drill, like trying to cross that field, catch the angle, and make a play. That's a positive. The continuously running hot motor, that is a positive. Don't get me wrong. But to sit here and say, I'm going to take a guy because he ran a 4.56 or 4.57 40 with no gear on, running in a straight line, no one hitting him. That's great. That's great if you want to be a track star, but a defensive end in the NFL is not a track star. Right? He has no secondary move. His main go-to move was a bull rush. How do you you get under him? He's 6'6".
Yeah, you get under him. Yeah. So you're saying stay away from him, but he is a guy that will likely be available at 11, yes? Mike?
Yeah, I mean, he might go before it. Someone might take him before 11.
Oh, where are the Raiders picking? They like those athletically gifted guys. Where are the Raiders picking?
I mean, I heard Carolina likes him. I don't know.
God bless. right now it sounds like you're high on Mike Green and Michael Williams, right?
Yeah, I like Michael Williams. I like Green, but the off the field problem, I think, is could potentially take the Niners out of it.
So I want to pivot to a guy that I like, and maybe you have this guy as a day 2 guy. I got him at a prospect at 11, or if the Niners maybe perhaps trade back. And that's going to be James Pierce. We're talking about off the field stuff. This is someone who has been rumored to have some concerns, right? I don't know if it's off the field stuff. He had something 2 years ago in December, but those charges were dropped, and it was vehicular, like driving. It was like a driving thing. It wasn't anything serious, no manslaughter or anything like that. This wasn't a hit and run or anything like that. This was like failure to produce insurance paperwork, right? For whatever the reason is that people have him, for whatever reason the scouts and these rumors are, this could be the biggest bonus the 49ers get, because not for nothing, this guy is arguably, and I'm saying that knowing who Abdul Carter is, this guy is arguably the most consistent pass rusher in this entire draft. He's not terrible against the run either. I think he finished last year with 7.5 sacks, right? But if you look at what he did the year before that and the year before that, he had 9.5 sacks the year before that with the Vols, and then he finished with hold on, let me try to look it up.
2.
Was it just 2?
Yeah.
In 2022?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, this is a guy that I think has a lot to offer for a team, and I want to know your thoughts. Like, would you stay away from him? Because I haven't. I think that this is just someone really, really trying to get him to fall to them. That's what I feel like it is, because I just can't see anything else anywhere else. I mean, his RAS score, we're talking about athleticism. We did it with Shamar Stewart. He's a 9.4. Just like, okay, Shamar Stewart had the 10.0, which was unheard of. This guy is a 9.4. He is just as athletic. You know, like he doesn't have that 40 speed, but man, this guy is really, really good. A phenomenal broad jump. His 20-yard split, the 10-yard split. And he's got the height also. He's got the height to match. Now, he's a lot lighter than what Stewart is, and maybe that's going to bump him down on the Niners board. Can he play the run, though? That's the question.
I mean, it's very hard to evaluate defensive ends at the college level, at the collegiate level, versus the run, due to the type of schemes that are ran offensively in the college football level, at the college football level. They're not your typical run designs at the NFL level where you're facing a tight end to your side. Where it could be an outside zone, it could be an inside zone, it could be a power run between the tackles. You could be getting a backside guard coming down and you're freed at the line of scrimmage, and next thing you know, you got to hit him with your inside shoulder to not give up the inside rush lane. So it's kind of a tough evaluation, right? What he shows in his game is he's explosive. He's very quick off the ball. He knows how to use his hands. He tries the bull rush, can counteract the move off the bull rush, can get outside, can cut under, good on a stunt. He's 245, I think they had him at. He ran a 4.
That's correct.
4.45 at the 40 at the combine. His 10-yard split was pretty impressive for a man that stature.
Yeah.
Again, this is what we're privy to. We're not privy to everything as far as information-wise. We could confirm the combine because you can watch it on the NFL Network. You can confirm his game tape because you can watch it on YouTube. You can confirm everything, but the one thing you can't confirm, majority of the people, what you can't confirm is what goes on in that locker room, within that team at Tennessee, what his background checks are coming out as, and how his interview process is. You're not going to be privy to that. And it's not just strictly because it's the 49ers. It's an NFL thing. Now, can games be played? Could they say, hey, let's start dropping notes on this guy saying he's not good, blah, 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 to try to get him to drop, or we can grab this guy and then try to trade back up and grab him again. If you pair those two guys, games are played in the NFL. I'm not gonna say they're not. They are played. But the thing is, the problem is this. Maybe it might not be the decision making with as far as the tickets, being arrested. Remember, it's speeding, failure to produce, whatever it might be on the legal side. The question is the love for the game. That is a major issue. And there's been some things floating around that he might not have a love for the game. There was people saying, well, did you happen to take notice when they blew the whistle twice on his 40 start, and he kind of gave the guy who blew the whistle a look? Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it was a bother to him. Yeah. So I'm not saying that could ruin him, but what I'm saying is now you're getting into the type of mindset and the type of player he is, the type of person, not player, type of person he is. And I'm not knocking him. The kid is very talented. He should be off the board in the top 15 picks. Maybe even top 10 if you really want to talk about it.
Yeah. Because there were some people that were saying that he could be the first guy, the first edge rusher to come off the board.
Because think about it. Your top 10 picks are going to be what? It's either going to be a quarterback, it's either going to be a pass rusher, it's either going to be a left tackle, or it's going to be a cornerback.
Or a corner, yeah, so exactly.
Those are your four crucial positions. And also, by past practice, those are potentially past practice has proven facts that those are your highest paid positions. So with that being said, if things don't align and don't check out, he's not going to go in the top 10, top 15. If they do check out and you see it's bullshit and he's selected in the third round, that's how you know games were trying to be played to get him to drop to a certain spot. So I'm not going to say he's not a round one guy, but I will tell you this. I could seriously see the 49ers. If they take somebody at 11, whether it's a defensive tackle, Mason Graham falls, or they fall in love with Walter Nolan, and you see Pierce starting to trickle down, that is a trade-up candidate. Because you're not going to get that type of player, I think, at 43. That could be a guy you pull a trigger on and go up and get him if he's in the 20s.
And I do not see a Reuben Foster type fall for this guy. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I think the IQ is
because
there.
of what we know. We don't see it because of what we know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It could be a legit thing behind those closed doors. Because, Mike, you're seeing mock drafts where this guy's not even top 20.
Oh, yeah. I've seen people do mock drafts with the Niners getting him in the second round. I think you posted one recently, right? I think you just posted one with people getting him at 43. I think that if you know that the talent's there, I think it's time for these coaches to put their big boy pants on, right? I think that Robert Saleh can get the best out of a guy like this. And that's what it comes down to, right? When do you have the staff that can come in and overcome the shortcomings of these gentlemen? Whether it's something physical, whether it's something mental, you know what I'm saying? That's when the coaching staff really makes their money. And not for nothing, I still, to this moment, don't know what they gave Robert Saleh, but everyone is whispering that he's one of the highest paid coordinators in the entire NFL right now. And so if that's true, I mean, come on, Saleh, you got to come in here and work your magic with this guy, buddy. The talent is absolutely there. The talent is there, and it's undeniable. And also, I want to apologize to you. I think you said the Niners should avoid Mike Green because he's a liability against the run at 11, right? I think that's what your take was.
He showed at Marshall he could do it, but I again, this is where the projection comes in. Yeah. It's hard. Okay, at Marshall, yes, you could do it, but can he do it at the next level when he's facing a 6'7", 330-pound offensive tackle with a 5 flat or a sub 540, and that's a freak athlete that could get to that point where he's trying to beat it with his speed And the tackle now at this level could get there to that point and beat him to it. So, again, I'm not saying like the Niners are the defensive tackles suck. I'm not saying that. But when you look at our position right now, picking at 11, we are in dire need of a defensive end opposite of Bosa. They've been looking at it since we drafted Bosa. It is time to get a defensive end. Like I said, corner, quarterback, defensive end, left tackle. I don't see them taking a left tackle, but I will tell you this. If a left tackle is selected at 11, expect the corresponding move to be announced. That's all I'm saying.
All
If
right.
a defense, if I think they really like Mason Graham. If he's not there, I don't think they're going to reach for someone just to say they took a defensive tackle. So what does that leave you? A defensive end. I don't think they'll go corner there because I think they have their top two guys as starting corners plugged in. They extended Demo. They drafted Green. Green played well last year. Mooney moved on. Could they take a corner in the second round? Could they trade back up if a corner's falling? Sure, maybe. Because that's a foundational piece. But
at 11, you're looking for a starter, not a nickel.
yes, you need a guy that's going to come in and say, bang, you're opposite of Bosa. Or you're the starting three technique opposite of so-and-so. You need immediate impact and contribution from day one. Yeah. Not sit and wait and develop.
All right, so let's move to the second round. Let's look at pick 43. What guys should the Niners be considering at 43? Now, you mentioned someone while you were talking that I think may be available at 43, and that was Donovan Ezra-Ruaka. I'm butchering his name, but the young man from Boston College. Ezra-Ruaka, there you go. Yeah.
Now,
I think that –
Go
ahead.
The interesting fact with Ezra-Ruaka, the 49ers hired a secondary coach, a cornerback coach, who happened to come from Boston College last year. So is there some familiarity with him and the player? Who knows? But just keep that in the back of your head. They signed a coach, a positional coach from Boston College's defense, is now the cornerback coach. I think his name is Ray Brown, I think that was his name, or Thomas Brown. He's now the cornerback coach in San Francisco. And I remember when we all said, wow, what the hell did this come from? And then next thing you know, they're top pass rushers in the draft. So could that be a scenario at 43? I could see him as a day two player. I'm looking at him right now as a day two player. A couple other guys you can get on day two as well. Go ahead, but finish what you were saying.
No, I was just saying that I think that this could be somebody that ends up falling out of the first round that the Niners could be looking at for their day two pick. I like him a lot. I think he'll be pretty good. I think that's where – this is going to sound bad, but I think this is where a Mike Green guy might come in. Because I agree with your assessment there, right? So I was looking at it as just a pass rusher at 11. Mike Green would fit, right? But I like what you said in the very beginning of this. At 11, you're looking for an all-around player. You want someone that can come in and play every down, not just passing downs, right? Like that's a luxury pick, and the Niners, unfortunately, don't have the defensive tackles to afford that right now. So if you're looking at, and again, guys, this is just about defensive ends here, I think that takes Mike Green off the board for the Niners at 11, and if he happens to fall to 43, I think maybe Mike Green could be a pass rusher that they're looking at 43, because now it changes it up a little bit. Now you need someone that's going to come in and do their job really well, which I think Mike Green would do as a pass rusher, but he might not be the all-around guy yet in his NFL career. Only 6'3", 251, so he doesn't, I don't know if he's going to be a three-down player in the NFL his first two seasons out there. But
the thing real quick about that, right?
And Donovan's even smaller.
He's 250, 248, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, 6'2". He's an inch shorter and a couple pounds lighter than what Mike is. So this is where you start to see those guys start to come into play.
Now, if the scenario is like this, right? If he was clean, like 100% clean, he had no off-the-field issues, I could see a scenario where the 49ers could potentially take him at 11, right? Because what are we talking about? Production timing in certain drills, stature, arm length, wingspan, and skill set, right? Can he possibly could come in and shock us and develop quickly into a 3-down player, potentially. He's going to have to prove that, though, with setting the edge at the NFL level. The flip side of it, they have Gross Matos still on this roster. Gross Matos could come in and be the first and second down defensive end, and then third down they could bring him in. But in that scenario, that's a perfect world because Gross Matos is a free agent next year. So they could potentially go that route until he could show that he could be a full-time player. But the thing that's kind of leaning towards Mikael Williams with this is he's such a good run stop. Like, he's so good against the run. He's so powerful. He does not get blown off the line. You don't see it. Now, could it be the way they used him and aligned him? Sure. Now, the question is this. Would you put him in a wide line situation or even a 7 technique and pin your ears back and get off the ball and go instead of trying to play a 2 gap as a defensive end? It could be potentially better for him in his skill set, and he could take that next step. So you're looking at potential, projection, and what we've seen on tape when you make this pick. Again, if Green was clean, he could seriously be the pick at 11. Actually, I think he could have been higher if his off the field issues did not exist. But they do, unfortunately. So they're there. So you got to take that into consideration. But they need to add a very crucial piece right now. This is a golden opportunity to do it on the weakest position group on their defense, on their team, which is their defensive line.
Who else do you think is in play at 43? What about a guy from Oregon, Jordan Birch? What are your thoughts on him?
I think Birch you can get maybe on the bottom of 2, 3. I think he's trending more towards day 2, high day 3. It depends on if there's a run or not. I like Jordan Birch, but Jordan Birch is more, I want to say, finesse than physical, than well-rounded. A guy that, has been rumored to the 49ers, Femi Oladejo from UCLA, 6'2", 6'3", 255-pound defensive end, former middle linebacker, under Ken Norton at UCLA, came from Cal, went to UCLA, played a year as a middle linebacker, then bumped down to a defensive end. So he knows how to play the run. He knows how to fill a gap. He knows how to fill a hole. And he's developing a pass rush move. He's gifted, very long arm, great athlete. So he has that part of the game. He has a very great work ethic, high character, high IQ. So that's an interesting piece. There were reports saying that the 49ers are in love with him. Tony Polino came out with a report. Haven't heard it again since. And Tony Polino was the one that called Garendo last year to the 49ers. So that's something to look at. Another guy potentially, Landon Jackson, the Arkansas kid. Some videos that they were showing, when he was hitting the bag drill. I honestly feel that was when he was coming out of high school, going into the collegiate level, because he looked very, very skinny and very frail in those videos. And he doesn't look like that on film. This is a former, I think, 4-star recruit that went to LSU, that signed with LSU, was there for a year, transferred out to Arkansas, I guess, for a playing opportunity. And, there's tapes where on some of his game film, he, gave some of these pretty damn good offensive linemen in the SEC some fits. And Campbell from LSU was one of them. He had he gave Campbell a fit a couple times, beat him for a sack when they played each other. So that's another guy. Another undersized guy, Josiah Stewart. Wayne loves him. Wayne with Michigan. He's a great pass rusher. Kyle Kennard, defensive end. from South Carolina, SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Did you hear that? SEC Defensive Player of the Year. That's an impressive award to get as a defensive end coming out, going into the draft. But 250 pounds, 6'3", struggles against the run a little bit, more of a one-way pass rusher. So these are all things that we have to take in totality and just look at it and evaluate these guys. There's a bunch of day 3 guys, borderline, I would say more day 3 guys that are available. Someone that I really like, I'm kind of shocked that he's dropping because I know why. It's because of his timing. I think if you want a football player to play opposite Nick Bosa, I'm not saying he's a 3-down defensive end, but you got to look at a kid like Jack Sawyer from Ohio State. Physical, can set the edge. Is he a speed guy? Not whatsoever. But he's just a damn good football player. He just plays the game of football. Another guy, maybe borderline day 3, the kid from Central Arkansas, David Walker, the undersized defensive end. He's physical. He can get around the edge. He can set the edge. Low competition, low level of competition. He dominates. That's another projection that you have to make.
You're saying that for 43?
Oh no, I was talking about total, like day 1, day 2, day 3 players.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, because I was going pick by pick. So okay, I see what you're doing now. Okay,
no, those guys at 43, you're looking at like an Ezraku, Landon Jackson, Oladejo.
What about the other defensive end from Ohio State, JTT, Tui Malau?
You see
Moluau.
He's good. He's a good defensive end, but I feel like he's solid, but he's not good at one thing. Like I honestly feel the way they're looking at this right now is if they obviously, I think the bang for the buck at 11 would be to go defensive end because the defensive tackle class is deeper than the defensive end for a starter, right? JT is good. He's got to come in. He's got to, he's got to put some strength on. He's got to get in the weight room. He's got to show that he can compete at this level. But there's times where you watch him, he gets a great pressure, and then there's another time where he's just engaged with the offensive lineman and just he doesn't disengage.
Yeah.
So
I kind of like him a little bit more than Jack Sawyer, and I think that the playoffs and the college postseason, so to speak, really bumped Jack Sawyer up on people's draft boards. I think that JT was a little more consistent throughout the years, but I could be wrong. You know what I mean? But I do understand what you're saying. JT, you know who Jack Sawyer, not that he reminds me of him physically, but that motor and the constant go, it's like a Max Crosby type of thing. Yeah. Like that type of motor that kind of just inspires players around him. You know what I mean? Not saying that he's going to be Max Crosby.
Athleticism to match it, though.
Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to draw a football player, you're going to draw a picture of Jack Sawyer because he's a football player. He just loves the game of football. He gives it his all, but his limitations hold him back.
Right. Sticking to guys in day 2, and just we have also a comp pick at pick 100. So pushing it down a little bit more. What other players stand out to you there? Like, is this where you would consider a guy like Nick Scorton from Texas A&M? Is that too early, do you think, for him?
I have to be honest with you. I'm not impressed by any of the defensive linemen from Texas A&M.
Excuse me, bitch.
I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know what it is down there, but you have talented guys that they're not putting up the numbers. Scorton has injuries issues. There's Scorton, hold on. Now I'm confused because there's one second.
All right, now while Tony looks it up,
Scorton, and who's the other guy
from Texas?
Yeah, isn't there a third guy there?
Hold on. Let me. I'm pulling up my list here.
Scoring.
Oh, yeah.
They have 3 guys.
Let me pull up my list here. Hold on. Let me see. Shamar Stewart's the other guy, and
I thought there was another dude. Oh wait, he was a defensive tackle.
I was gonna say you might be thinking of a tackle, not the end. I think you're thinking about the defensive
Shamar
tackle.
Turner. Shamar Turner. All right. So these dudes just like Shamar Turner had 2 sacks last year.
Yeah.
He's a defensive tackle. Scorton had how? Let me see. Let me check his stats real quick. Scorton had 5 sacks last year, and Stewart had 1.5 sacks. What I just don't understand is if you have 3 guys that are going to be going in the top 2 rounds, potentially top 3 rounds of the NFL draft, why isn't there more production from these guys? And the scary part of it was all, Walter Nolan was a part of his defensive line if he didn't transfer.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is, Walter Nolan was a 5-star recruit, the number 1, I think the top recruit in his high school class coming in under Jimbo Fisher. I think Jimbo Fisher was there for him. The top collegiate high school recruit going into college, and he left. Now, is it the way they teach, the philosophy, the coaching, the techniques? Is it 2-gapping? Is it single gapping? Is it, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, but it's just, in my opinion, when you have that much talent, but then the same could be said with Georgia, right? These guys are all talented across the line, but they just don't produce sacks. But the one factor here is Skurton is, I do like Skurton. I just don't think he is the right fit for this team at 280 pounds. I don't know what his time is off the top of my head, but
I thought Scorton was only 250 something, 260. Is he 280?
He's listed at 280.
Holy sugar honey iced tea.
What's
is that what? Hold on, I gotta see what he weighed in at. Hold on.
Unless this is wrong, the weigh-in is wrong.
Hold on, let me double check. I got Nick Scorton at. Let me pull it up here. He weighed in at 257. Yeah, 6'2", 257. Did he drop that much weight?
He's probably another one because all the publications have him at 280.
Because he didn't do the 40-yard dash or any agility drills or anything.
He's probably another guy that dropped weight.
Oof! Imagine dropping weight and not running and doing the. Never mind. All right, I don't want to make this a thing where we're dumping on guys. So
no, it's not dumping. It's just you got to match it. You got to match the skill set to your defense. I don't think his skill set would match what Kocurek wants. That's where I'm at with this, with him,
right?
At least.
Okay.
So yeah. So I mean, but listen, hey, at the latter part of round 3, it's a possibility if he's there. I mean,
and when we move to the 4th round, see, he's got 6'4", 285. Where'd you get those numbers from? Because Tony's saying 280 also. I got 6'2". Where are y'all seeing these numbers?
I have 3 books in front of me, and they all say he's 280. He probably trimmed down for the combine. If I had to guess, absolutely.
But how the hell does that help him then? Because he didn't run any of the agility drill. He didn't do anything but get weighed. And this says, yeah. So I'm looking at NFL.com from the combine, 6'3", 257. 33-inch arms, 10-inch hands. That's it, though. There's nothing else on him. It's literally just measurements. So I wonder if he played that way and then just went to. Let me see. I'm looking at him here. I don't know. I don't see 280 on this kid. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. He says Bleacher Report says what I just said, 6'3", 257. Those were the measurements from the combine. So, all right. I mean, well, that right there is going to tell me to stay away from him. I'm not. Gonna, I wouldn't touch him then. That's a lot of weight to shed in a couple of months. You know. Let's move to the fourth round. So I talked about pick 100. That was our comp pick. But then in the fourth round, we have picks 113 and 138, and we can talk about these fourth round guys, and then we'll move on to the rest of them. And I want to start this one off with my guy who I used as the picture, Tony, and I used him because you and I were doing the show. Jersey's own Fidel Diggs. I need to know what your thoughts are on him. This is a guy that I think could surprise a lot of people, not just because he's from Jersey. This is someone that I want to see get an opportunity on a defensive line that's going to offer him a little bit of help. And this kid, I think he has it. You let me know what you think. He's 6'4", 257 for real. He finished with 45 tackles, 7.5 sacks, and a forced fumble. He's a tough defender, has some size and quickness. The only thing that I didn't like about him, you were talking about JTT from Ohio State, where it was like sometimes he just kind of gets locked in, doesn't know how to disengage. You know what I mean? I see that sometimes with Fidel Diggs from Syracuse. What are your thoughts on him? I think he has a ton of upside, though. A ton of upside.
He's your prototypical size, weight, arm length, wingspan, stuff like that. You know, that's what you want. That's the type of player you're looking for. That's the type of player you want to draw up. That's your guy. I mean, he's good. He's explosive off the line of scrimmage. Little raw with his hand, using his hands to counteract moves and do secondary move off of his main move. But he is productive. Like you said, the disengaging part at times it could become an issue or has shown to be an issue. But the question with him is he's a tweener. They don't know, is he a 3-4 linebacker outside? Is he a 4-3 defensive end? Setting the edge versus the run. He's shown at Syracuse that he could do it. Is he great at it? He's not the best, but he shows he could do it. So the number one factor for him is athleticism. And this is the guy you want if you want an athlete flying off the edge.
Right.
But, you know, he is raw and he has to show at the next level he could take that next step. It's all about with these guys, it's all about taking that next step and to continue to develop, right?
Yeah.
Some have the ability to do it, some don't.
Right. So here we are. We're talking early day 3 guys here. This is where I see guys like Kamen Rucker from North Carolina and Kyle Kennard. I know you mentioned him earlier. Do you think there's a chance that he is still there in the 4th round? Kyle Kennard from South Carolina.
If he is, it's going in the top 2-3 picks.
Right. Yeah. What about Kamen Rucker? I haven't heard you talk much about him. I think this is a day 3 guy, also an early day 3 guy.
Rutgers.
Now with him, he's 6'1". He's North Carolina. He's only 6'1", but he's 254. He's got a nice size to him because he doesn't have that extreme height. You know what I mean? Yeah. But what do you think about that? This is a guy who also was injured early in the season. He missed the first 2 months of football for them, 2.5 months, I should say. What do you think about him?
I actually like him. I do. I think he's definitely a day 3 pick. He is undersized. If you told me he was 6'3", 6'4", at 250, 260 pounds, I'd like to take a shot on him. He plays with the me against the world mentality. He plays with a chip on his shoulder. He's very aggressive. He can use his hands. He plays through the whistle. He's got a high running motor. So that's all things that you look for as your base evaluation for these guys, especially on day 3. And it would be worth taking a shot. But unfortunately, I think they addressed those issues on day 1, early day 2. And I don't think we're going to be talking about this unless, excuse me, they decide to go with a Shamar Stewart at defensive end and they want to bring in a secondary pass rusher or speed guy off the edge. That's more of a pass rusher than just a guy that can run straight in 40 yards at a good time. So you could see a double down with that if they go Shamar Stewart or a guy that's not known to be or hasn't flashed tendencies to be a pass rusher.
All right, another day 4 guy who I'm hearing his name come up a lot is Ahmad Hassanian the Boise State defensive end. He's 6'2", 267. Where do you see this young man coming? This guy produces a lot of sacks. Again, this is from Boise State, though. I want to know what your thoughts are on him. 9.5 sacks this past season. The season before that, he had 12.5 sacks and a couple forced fumbles. What are your thoughts on him? He seems to be a big unknown, but I'm hearing his name talked about a lot. I think I saw Brandon Graham, post something about him. He's projected to be the first. This is a weird stat, but sure, let's say it. The first Egyptian player to be drafted.
Yep.
So what do you think about him?
He's, again, high effort, high energy, high motor, good athleticism, great strength, just raw. He needs to develop. He needs time to develop. And that's why we're talking about him on a day 3 pick. I think he could be potentially a late day 3 pick. If there's a run on defensive end, you might see him go into round 5. If not, you could see maybe round 6, and he could fall and potentially be undrafted. It all depends on how these teams view him, right? Because he's a raw prospect. There's no doubt about it. So projection, how they feel, how he interviews, the feeling they get from him when they meet with him. These are all things that take into account once they set their boards and they evaluate. After their evaluation of these guys, that's how they know where they're going to go with him and where they're going to rake him. But yeah, I mean, he's nice. He's a solid piece. I mean, you take a flyer on him if you want at the end of round 6, maybe if he's there. If all your needs are completed, that you felt you did well in the draft, or what your goals were for the 49ers. But a guy that I really really think could be a nice addition to the 49ers is John Joyner from Minnesota. There's something about this kid that I really like. He's physical. He's strong. He has the athleticism. He showed that he could get around that edge. He showed the counter moves off of his primary pass rush. And he just shows that he's got that motor and that IQ to, when he's let free to come upfield, he's not going to pin his ears back and play uncontrolled. He's like, oh shit, something's coming my way. There's a trap. Something, there's going to be something's coming. So I seen him once on film where he just broke down in the middle of the field, and thank God he did, because it was a backside reverse and a guy would have ran right by him. He just had that tendency and that IQ and that knowledge to say, okay, this is too good to be true. Let me stop. Let me play to my goals. Let me play to my responsibilities. So
it's interesting you said that he had the skill to do that, because I've seen that used against him where they say he's too hesitant, where he doesn't always commit to the play call, and he kind of tries to step back and read in the middle of a play. So some people are using that against him. But I do see what you're saying. I guess, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder there with him. This is a 6'4", 262-pound guy. They question his physicality in the run game, and I think it's funny because I like him more against the run than as a pure pass rusher.
He's a physical player, man. He's. I like him. I watched a couple games of him. I liked his interview that they did with him. What's his name? Brad Graham or whatever his name is, Brian Graham. I like how he spoke about himself. I like how he was very professional and he answered the questions. He didn't dance around questions. You can just tell he has a love for the game. And that's something I like. Me as a fan, that's something I want on my team. I'm the 49ers as a 49er fan. There's one guy.
Wait, before you move on from him, I do want to say this about John Joyner really quick. So the same thing, again, it depends on how you view it, right? Is it a strength or is it a weakness that he's a little bit hesitant, right? He wants to read the play. He had 7 passes batted, which is very, very impressive for a defensive end. 7 batted passes, and not all of them were because he was in the quarterback's lap and jumped up to tip a ball that was getting thrown either.
Double team to know I'm not going to beat this, so let me try to bat the ball down.
That's right. And so I did want to put that out there about this kid, that I think that it's more of an IQ thing. So I don't want to sit here and try to make it like I was dumping on him. So I wanted to be clear there. But go ahead. I know there was someone else you wanted to highlight.
The one guy I was watching. Who's the linebacker from Alabama? That's supposed to be they want the Niners to draft him. Oh man, Jair Campbell. Is it?
I'm pulling it up now. The linebacker.
Jahad Campbell
Yeah, Alabama.
from yeah. So I just watched him a little bit, and I just kept seeing this dude like just popping on the film. All right, so let me watch him a little bit. His name is I wrote his name down as Q Robinson. It's Q Andre, I think it is Q Andre Robinson. Here's a dude that got a little in trouble off the field. I think Nick Saban, when he was there, tried to suspend him or something from the team for a couple games. He got in off the field problems of driving shit, being pulled over. I think potential DUI or DWI, one or the other. And it's a red flag. But then I kept watching this kid, and the kid just stood out. Like he's 6'4", 243 pounds. He's a tweener. But the kid put his hand in the dirt and ran around and beat the edge, right? Get around the edge, get the quarterback, sack him. Set the edge against the run. Showed it at 243 pounds. Continuously high motor, flying around, making tackles, whether they're downfield or behind the line of scrimmage or laterally left and right. Just continued to pop on this film. That's somebody, the odds of the 49ers going that route because of past practice, that's somebody that if they did take a chance on somebody, I would like to see them potentially take a chance on that player because he's flying all over the place. But that's the other guy. And
what are your?
Go ahead.
I was going to say I got this guy as a day 3 guy. I've seen some people having him as a late day 2. Savion Jones from LSU. We haven't mentioned him yet. What are your thoughts on him? This is a 6'5", 280 guy. Where do you think he falls? What's up with him?
It's funny you mentioned him. If they draft Jalen Walker at 11, the linebacker, defensive end tweener from Georgia, the 6'1", 6'2", 248-pound or 250-pound guy, he's the defensive end I'm pairing him with.
Oh.
Savion Jones. So Savion Jones would come in and compete with Gross Matos as the first and second down guy because he's like that type of player where he's great on the edge. He could bend the edge at 6'6", 280, 6'5", 280, wherever the publication says. Physical, athleticism, strength, ability, showed it at the Senior Bowl versus top-notch talent, but gives you the ability to line inside on third down packages, right? So now this is where the 49ers, if they want to get, and I was just about to bring up Jalen Walker before you mentioned it. This is where the 49ers can get really creative, right? First and second down, they could play Jalen Walker as a weak side linebacker. And they could play him. I just drew a brain fart. What's his name? The LSU guy? Savion Jones. They could play Savion Jones at defensive end opposite of Bosa. Then on third down situation, Savion Jones could slide in. Jalen Walker goes from weak side linebacker to pass rusher and get after the quarterback. So that's a 2-for-1. That's a scenario that could happen, right? Because they're so decimated on that side of the ball. You're filling 2 roles with 2 players. Actually, you're filling more than 2 roles with 2 players. But
you're filling 3 roles.
Yeah, actually, you're filling 4. You're going defensive end to rush tackle on a passing down, and then will linebacker to edge rusher. So that's 4 roles with 2 players. Yeah. That's something that could happen. I'm putting it out there. But if they're just going to take Jalen Walker and say, okay, you're the new defensive end opposite Bosa, I'm not there yet for that.
All right. I like it, man. Good breakdown there. Now, I cut you off when I asked about Savion Jones. There was someone else that you were about to mention. I don't know if that was it there.
A couple dark horses later in the draft. A more bigger physical defensive end, Tyler Beatty from BYU. 2-down defensive end, run edge setter. Hussein I have ranked on there. A dark horse, Elijah Ponder from Cal Poly. East-West Shrine game. Flew off the edge. Good speed guy. Didn't really show setting the edge in the run, but showed that he could take that corner and run that arc and get to the quarterback and get a pressure. So these are just a couple guys, I'm just mentioning. I mean, listen, I can sit here all day and give you defensive ends.
I think Edward Alston might be a Patreon subscriber because he just put a comment up there, and I'm not kidding. Tony, you know the list that I put in the room. I told you I highlighted certain guys. Look how many names he said in here. I'm not going to say who they are. One of them we already talked about with Fadil Diggs, but look at the names he's got in there. He's got 1, 2, 3. He's got 3 of them in a row, 4 of them in a row, of the 5 people that I highlighted.
Mm-hmm.
Very impressive, Edward. Very impressive. All right, I like that. Very good. And if he's not a Patreon, you might want to check out the page, man. Patreon.com/NB9ERS. I like that. Very, very good knowledge there by him. All right. I think that's it. We're at the end of this thing. We gave you guys an hour plus here. You talked about Ja Joyner from Minnesota. I wanted to ask you about this guy. He might be undrafted, but Jalen Logan Redding. You talked about high effort guys earlier when we were talking about Sawyer. This is another high effort guy. What does your book say over there about Jalen Logan Redding, the defensive end from Minnesota?
I didn't get into him, and the books that I have right here next to me, I don't have my good one here. Okay. They don't have him in there. Interesting. Where's he from?
Okay, he's in Minnesota also. That's why I mentioned him with Ja. They're both Minnesota guys.
Yeah, I don't see his name in here.
Okay, all right.
He's listed as a DN.
And yeah, I have him here as a defensive end. 27 tackles, 4 PBUs. Just a high effort guy. The year before that, he had 2.5 sacks. And they're saying that in order for him to be any good, he needs to rev up his pass rushing skills and abilities. But he's all effort. He's 100% effort. That's it. So I don't know. Maybe not. I thought maybe he would have had something in the books over there on him, but it'll be more for us to break down later on, man. Tony, was there anyone else that you wanted to mention before we get out of here?
Defensive ends, not really. I mean, I think they go defensive end early, so it kind of eliminates all the other guys, like in the latter part of the draft. Let me just check this one. Savion Jones, we talked about him. Ja Joyner, we talked about him. Diggs.
Yeah, we talked about some of those guys you just put in there now, Edward.
Oh, another guy, Elijah Roberts from SMU, the tweener. Some say DT, some say defensive end. I see him as if he came to San Francisco, he'd be like a Kerry Hyder type defensive end, more physical, bigger physical guy. Kerry Hyder style body and type rusher. You never know. Kosaric might like that. We don't know. But I think defensive end gets knocked out of the park either in round 1 or round 2. Could they double back latter part in the draft and get another piece? Because I got to be honest with you. I mean, other than Nick Bosa, Evan Anderson, Gross Matos, I mean, it's up for grabs.
Come on. You can say it. I think the Niners could be drafting up to 4 defensive linemen in this draft. I really, really do. And I know that sounds crazy, especially coming off a year where we didn't take a single one. But you got to fix the fact that you didn't draft any the previous year, right? So now you kind of got to overcompensate, and the roster is showing it. The roster is showing it. I wouldn't be surprised if they do 4. How many do you think we end up getting?
I think 3 to me, but I could see 4.
Yeah,
I think they're going to do 3 because I think they need to definitely do at least 3. defensive tackles.
All right.
Definitely.
So we need to come back later this week, Tony, if you get time, and maybe break down defensive tackles because that is a very strong possibility at 11 as well. So we got to try to find some time to do that. I know on Thursday night I am going to come on with John Chapman. I'm going to have Chapman on the show. I'm going to let him do his own mock draft and explain to you guys who he's taking, why, and where. I'm really just going to be here just clicking. So we'll see how it goes and see what you guys like. So please make sure you guys are subscribed. Turn on those notifications so you know when we're going live. We have the time and everything set. I will create that room tomorrow evening. So that way you guys have 24 hours of a heads up so you guys can be ready, all right? And if you don't catch it live, there's always the rewatch, you know? Hopefully we didn't bore you guys like we bored Tony. He's literally yawning and falling asleep over there. No, I'm kidding.
I'm tired.
I know.
I'll wake up in 3 hours.
Yeah, so thank you guys very much, man. Tony, you were phenomenal, as always. Anything you want to plug, promote, or anything before we get out of here?
Nah, man, just it's getting close. Getting very excited. I got to start plugging shit away here because I'm behind again because of work, but we'll see what we can do.
Those damn jobs. And I want to remind everybody just one more time, if you aren't subscribed to the Patreon, please go ahead and get over there, patreon.com/NB9ERS. We will have a couple more shows coming to you guys this week. Just me highlighting some of the players that I like at different position groups. I'm not sure what group I'm going to do next, just some guys that I like in general, all over the draft too, by the way, not just guys I like at 11, because that would be kind of boring. So, all right, that's going to do it for myself. That's going to do it for Tony. We appreciate you all. Prepare for glory.
Anticipate pain.
Yeah, but always
remain faithful.
Peace.
We all gas, no brakes, pumped up, no fakes. We spinning, we winning, we high stakes. We never miss, we all makes. Look at us dudes trying to prove, bringing you news with nothing to lose. Mike, Nick, Tony, Wayne, Method Man, we bring the pain. Hey, see, I'ma confess it. We under the pressure. If you looking to find us, we them nothing but Niners. Nothing but Niners. We nothing but Niners.